everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby again. Today we're going to do update 89 already. And why? Because I've been working on the layout. As opposed to the long hiatus I had before I got interested in changing this end. I think some of this may stem from the fear of finishing a layout. I think we've discussed this in the past, and I think most model railroaders enjoy the working on a layout, and a lot of them dream of finishing, but those of us who get close to finishing, we think about what are we going to do next. I don't know. I just don't know what I might do next. But nevertheless, we're not finished yet. And one of these days I intend to completely finish a layout, and it's likely going to be this one, but I don't know what I will do after the fact. But let's get on to what I'm doing right now, as I always say, and let's go check it out. Okay, gang, the first thing I'm going to show you is all this stuff you already seen. But I'm going to show you what a mess working on this thing creates. Well, if you're like me, it creates a mess. You can see that I have stuff all over the place. I have pieces of cut foam. I have everything under the sun on the floor because that's where I tend to throw it. I used my foam cutter, and you will see in a minute what for. I have two hot glue guns, a hot one and a cooler hot glue gun. I have my trusty shop light, and while we're down here, I'm going to talk about what's under here. Okay, what you see under here is a really bright light shining into the camera, but you can see some of my wires here. Those go to my little truck light with the headlights on the wall. And as you can see here, and maybe you don't know anything about them, but this is an Mrc Reversing Unit. I had this from 2 layouts ago in a junk drawer. I kept fiddling and fiddling and fiddling with that AR1 up there, and the 2 detectors, and the switch cat up there to throw the switch when I went into the loop. And I had nothing but problems with it when I had the loop up there before with the town. And fought and fought and fought and re-insulated and looked at the joiners and did all that stuff for hours on end until I figured out that AR1's no good. I don't know why. I've never had one quit before, but I pulled this old thing out of the box and it works every time just like a champ. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And that's the AD something or other Mrc reverser. Nothing much going on under here other than I don't have all my wires tied up. However, I do have the 2 switches hooked to the first DS64 there on 21 and 22. And when I get up on the board, I'll show you that. And I have my 3rd switch here, which I've soldered the connections but haven't taped them up yet. And then when I do, or liquid tape them, whichever I do, but then when I do that, I'll get all these wires tied back up where they belong, since I've got all this working now, and it works flawlessly. So let's go up on top and see what I've been up to. Okay. Sorry for the shaky cam, but that's the way it is. The older I get, the shakier the camera gets. I don't know, it's something to do with the camera. But anyways, now you can kind of get an idea, at least some idea, of where that mesa is going to go, and where the ghost town will be on top of that mesa and down on this lower section down here. I will put structures in here. Now you can also see, well, let me get up, if I don't hit my head on the ceiling, let me get up here. You can see now where the road is going to go through here, cross over the track, go through there, and basically disappear behind the mesa, because I'm up at about 7 foot right now. You can also see, possibly, the track is really messy, but you can also see that I have all the track hot glued in place. The only other thing I want to do, and I know I don't normally do this, and I don't normally condone everybody doing this, but I'm going to solder these joints just because I don't want to have any trouble with this track once I get all this scenery built up here. Another thing I did, and actually, I just jerked some stuff off the table here. Well, let me talk about the bridge. I reconfigured the bridge. The bridge still has the same entrance on the near end here, and then the one piece of the bridge going across. Then I built a new section going downward that is straight, and all I've got to do is paint that. And then this piece here is sitting up on a piece of cork. I may have to raise up both sides. It looks to me like the clearance is okay, but I still have a little bit of light showing through there when the garage is open, and I want to try and raise it up enough to take care of that. So I will likely do that. Then I'll make the road, you know, match it. But this is all basically well, not temporary. I mean, all this foam that you see here is all glued down. This flat area right here, or relatively flat area right here, is reserved for the cattle pen and the abandoned track, which I just happen to have a piece. I believe it's a bent up piece, and I don't know if that's code 55. I think that's code 55. I thought it was code 40, but it's code 55, I believe. But anyway, this piece of microengineering track is going to go in there where the abandoned siding is, with no turnout or anything, and that's kind of the game plan. But I do like the way that the majority of the loop back there disappears. Oh, and by the way, there's the mesa that is in the way, so that you can't really visually always see the track going into the tunnel back there, and you don't, you know, it gives the impression that it goes somewhere else. But I'm going to go out in the garage and show you what I did with the track here and explain a little bit when I come back in. Okay, now I know this looks a little bit cobbled up, but there's not a lot of room to work in there. But anyway, I hot glued in this piece of HO cork here, and it's pretty sturdy. And then I hot glued all the other track here, and you can see that I have plenty of clearance on that end. And I have plenty of clearance on this end. So this track is basically in place where it goes when I put my window back up there. I will likely put the window back up there temporarily just to keep dirt out of the train room, but some point in time, and I said this last time, I'm going to go back in there and do the inside of a tunnel, like you see this plaster here. Something of that type. All this track in this loop here has already been soldered together. Now let's go back in and look at the inside. But you can see that I raised it up raised the track up on this end by the thickness of HO cork, which is about almost 1/4 of an inch. So it takes some of that dip elevation out of it when I go through the loop. It's a lot more flat than it was before. Okay, and when we come inside here, you can see that I put little HO cork spacers under there, and then I started reducing that down to N-scale cork here, and N-scale cork here, and N-scale cork here, and eventually it just goes back to having hot glue to support it. I have hot glue supporting most of this. Across here I put in a piece of HO cork just at an angle to get it to the right height. Then I secured all that with hot glue. This piece happened to sit on a piece of foam here, and the other side I just hot glued until it ran together. Hot glued the track around that curve. Now, I always have people asking me, how do I attach my track down? Well, I normally don't attach my track down, but in this case here, I'm using all the things that I said I don't like to use, and one of them is the beaded foam on the underside of all of this, which really made a mess when I tore some of that out of here. I did put a piece of the extruded foam here to get that area flat, and then that area flat where the bridge is going to sit across, and then the road will kind of go down off of the end of the bridge over there, down off that piece of foam, and be at that lower level down there, and then cross the track. Anyways, but to get back to it is, here I did not want this loop to ever move, because then I can have clearance issues in it in places, and I have height issue with it in places if I didn't, because I have very little support, if any, support under the track. It's not like I'm sitting it on a piece of plywood, or I'm not sitting it on Woodland Scenic's risers. So I have to do something to hold it up. So this is what I do here. This track is still not attached down. It probably never will be. But anyway, and then I was mentioning to you about the turnouts. You can see that I have numbered this one 21, and this one here on the two sidings here 22, and this turnout here works automatically when the train goes through the loop. And I'm going to show you that here. Okay, we have a couple of GP30s coming here, going into the loop in the direction that the turnout was already facing, and going through the loop. And coming out the other side on the dirty track. You can hear the turnout just through. Maybe you could hear it. And out she goes. Now let me reverse it. Sorry for the wiggly. Enters the loop, the direction it was going. Into the loop of dirty track. Hold on. Maybe. There's a lot of strings from the hot glue out there. And here it comes, and you will see the switch throw. There, the switch through. It never stopped in polarity-wise over here. The wheels on the locomotives are getting super dirty because I've been running it on this dirty track. But anyway, you get the idea. She goes through the loop now, which will allow me to run a train down the branch line, turn around, and come back over here. And either go back the branch line or go into the yard for separating cars. We're going to stop this guy right here. So as you can see, I've got that working. You can kind of visualize how that's going to look when I get plaster cloth and stuff on there. Not really sure what I'm going to do back here. I may build that up a little bit just for some more view block. And then put the cattle pen here in the front. That's the only thing I got to save room for. And likely that's about it for today. Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that, this time truly short update. And I hope you see you on the next one. And thanks for watching.